I want to start with one of your tweets, which said Bitcoin is the highest expression of order yet achieved by humanity. And my kind of like thought with that is, I agree. It's like Bitcoin is a human engineered constant that only is really comparable to time. How can we kind of start unpacking that?
Yeah, well, where do we start? I guess we would try to define order, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, order is often contrasted with chaos. So order would be that domain of where there's no surprise, frankly. It's a place that things are, well, orderly, clean, organized. Everything is in the place you expect it to be. If you want to use the Jordan Peterson sort of language, you could say it's explored territory, whereas chaos is unexplored territory. And, the individual and the logos is what mediates between the two. And so order is also has this mathematical connotation, like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those numbers are in order, right?
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, 5, 2, 1, 3. It's like, well, that's not really in order. Those numbers are out of order in a sequential sense. It might be in order from some other equation. There's also the derivative sense of this is like, oh yeah, everything is in order here, right? Like the books are in order, the balance sheet balances, all of these things. So there is this sense of the word order in that we have demystified and decomplexified reality into a very graspable, manipulable format, right? Something that we can understand. Again, metaphorically speaking, is like to stand beneath, to have a deeper perspective on a thing. Well, before you can stand beneath the thing to have the deeper perspective or the more comprehensive cognitive grasp of it, you actually need to circumscribe it, right? You need to know the boundaries, and then you need to know all of the component parts. You need to understand it inside and out, so to speak, to truly understand it. So how does this pertain to Bitcoin? I would first go to, there's a concept in economics called perfect information. And so these are conditions in which all market actors have perfectly symmetrical information, and that anytime something new is discovered, that it's immediately disseminated to all market actors. This is obviously an ideal state. Doesn't exist in the real world because, knowledge is most salient to the man on the spot. When when you shoot the ground, when Jethro shoots the ground in Beverly Hillbillies and the oil spouts up from the ground, it's like, well, the man on the spot has made that discovery. Everyone else in the world isn't aware yet that the supply of oil is about to go up, and therefore there's going to be downward pressure on the price and all these things, right? Like he has to make other market actors aware by harvesting that oil and selling it into the marketplace to disseminate that information, basically. So perfect information doesn't exist in the real world. Knowledge is inherently distributed. People that have a high degree of access to a particular time and place tend to have more context, more knowledge. Experience itself, as in when you develop a skill, these things they're embodied, right? You can't just read a book on how to ride a bicycle, for instance, right? You need to actually go out and move your body and really code this action pattern into your body to be able to ride a bike. So information is naturally distributed and not evenly distributed. So it's not, the real world is composed of imperfect information, but there's this ideal in economics called perfect information, where everyone basically has access to equal information at all times. And this underpins another ideal in economics called perfect competition, where basically all profits are competed away, because profits only occur where there's an asymmetry of knowledge, basically, or access.
Yeah.
Access is obviously related to knowledge. If you know where the thing is, well, then you can go and get it. So Bitcoin, and this was just like, I learned about this in college, and it was just that. It's kind of a thought experiment that's useful for contrasting the real world against. And it's also an ideal toward which you would want markets to move. You actually would prefer that information be more perfect rather than less, because that would benefit consumers the most, right? Consumer competition is what drives the products, the quality of products higher and the prices of the same products lower. So the closer you get to perfect information, the closer you get to perfect competition, the closer you get to maximizing customer satisfaction, basically, at the cheapest possible prices. So it's like, these are the terms or concepts that underpin an ideal economic system. But prior to Bitcoin, they were just that. They're just ideals, right? They didn't have any implementation. But Bitcoin is, it's not, I guess you could argue that it's not perfect information, but it's pretty damn close, right? Like, we know with absolute certainty, I don't want to say absolute certainty, with approximate certainty, exactly how much Bitcoin has been mined up until this point. We know that with almost absolute certainty, right? You can basically see what block height is and multiply it by all the epochs, and you know how many Bitcoin are in circulation. You can obviously audit it yourself. So that's very much perfect information. But looking forward, it's even more interesting because we know how many Bitcoin will be issued over time, all the way until the last Bitcoin is issued in the year 2140. So we do finally have this implementation of the ideal of perfect information, at least in the market for money itself. And that's what makes Bitcoin mining, which is the competitive aspect of Bitcoin, the market aspect of Bitcoin, such a ruthless, capitalistic industry, right? Because information is so clean and perfect, and the name of the game is basically gain access to cheaper energy to discover Bitcoin, to generate more hashes, to earn more Bitcoin faster than your competitors. So it's a very clear game, very clear rules, very clear objective, right? Like, just get the cheapest energy possible or get the best possible mining equipment, right? Which is, how much efficiency can you turn watts into hashes? Right. So it's a very clear game, very clear objectives, and you get this seriously competitive market that benefits consumers a lot, right? If you're a user of Bitcoin, well, what's been the net result of this game played out over the past 15 years? Like, well, your savings is compounded at, whatever it is, an average of 200% annual growth rate year over year. And you hold this monetary instrument that is the most secure. It's basically a share in the most secure computing network in the history of the human race. And you are also afforded this virtual certainty that whatever fraction of the total Bitcoin money supply you have, right? If you have 1,000 Bitcoin out of a possible 21 million, well, that your fraction will never be diluted, right? You have this kind of perfect information, if you will, form or guarantee, if you want to call it that the amount of the money supply you hold on a pro rata basis will never be diluted. Now, it might be increased, if someone burns a certain amount of Bitcoin, well, then you get kind of a pro rata increase in your purchasing power. But so there's all that. And the only other thing I would add here is, like, you use the term engineered truth, engineered money. It is fascinating to me that the depth of the order Bitcoin is able to generate, right, in terms of kind of its network security, the pristine, unamendable nature of its records, which is what also makes it really valuable, right? Like, it's a history that cannot be rewritten. Mm-hmm. These things are based on Bitcoin mining. So there's it's creating this perfect order, if you will, right? If we just say perfect order is something like a record of history that cannot be rewritten. Yes. Right. That's very orderly, can't be changed. What's another example of that? I'm not exactly sure.
I feel like they kind of tie in with each other, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say is that the we get more perfection of order, if you will, as Bitcoin mining becomes more competitive. So the difficulty adjustment goes up as more hash rate is brought online.
Yes.
And what is that doing? That is the difficulty adjustment increases the chaos that Bitcoin miners have to explore, right? They're creating hashes, trying to guess the right answer to this puzzle, but the puzzle becomes larger and more difficult to solve the more hash power comes online. So it's as mining is pushed further into the chaos of the uncertainty space of trying to solve, find the right hash to solve the current iteration of the puzzle, that increases the orderliness on the other side by making it, more secure.
Yes.
Another block in the chain, a more unrewritable history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.